Welcome to the Security Guard Show with Shep and Pitt, where we share stories about our experiences in the security industry and provide tips that might help you in your career as a security professional. This show is sponsored by Enterprise Security Consulting and Training Incorporated. And now, let's start the show. Hello, and welcome to the Security Guard Show with Shep and that guy over there.
Pitt.
All right.
You live for me.
So here we are. So as you can see, our screen looks a little bit different today because we're going to see if we're able to actually see the YouTube and Facebook comments that come through. So feel free to drop a comment. Let us know, what you're thinking or whatever along those lines. So today's show is about community violence.
Yeah, that's me.
Yep, that's the screen. Today's show is about community violence, right? Across the nation, we have seen an uptick of, and I don't even know if uptick is the word anymore, right? Rise in violent crime, right? People being shot or shots being fired, whatever the case may be, and people dying. And so we're seeing a lot more of this even right here in Rochester, New York, where, excuse me, I don't even know how many actual murders we're up to. I want to say somewhere around 30.
I was thinking it was in the 30s.
Yeah, so, I mean, we're up there, and we've seen, a number of, we've had some violent incidents, man. For Rochester, I haven't seen it like this since the 90s. Remember the early to mid 90s when, it was a lot of stuff happening, drug dealers being found and burning houses, things of that nature, people being taken out, by snipers sitting at the traffic light, that was happening in the 90s. But now we're really seeing, something unprecedented.
Fearless.
It's fearless, right?
Fearless. Team
tactics. So I was at a community event last week called Tips. Tips was put on by Camp Good Days and Special Times. Shout out to James McCauley and his entire team and everybody who turned out for that event. And the sheriff, Monroe County Sheriff Todd Baxter, was giving some information about some of the violent incidents that have happened, right? And he was talking about these shooters using team tactics in order to take people out. So you got two shooters moving in different directions towards a target to take that target out. It was a lady who was gunned down, shot at least 17 times in front of her children, right? And so somebody might say, well, what's that got to do with security, right? And I'm thinking about, as I told you before we even started the show, I was thinking about Calvin Munnerlin over in Flint, Michigan, who, he was doing his job. He's trying to get a parent to put a mask on her child, and her and this security guard have some sort of words. She calls for her husband and son show up, and the son blasts Mr. Munnerlin away. Point blank, headshot, right? Talk about violence, broad daylight type violence. And so here we are in the security industry, and oftentimes we don't, some of us that have been in this business for any amount of time, or those of us who are, for lack of a better term, gung-ho, right? We don't think about how that violence could possibly affect us.
We don't. And
so I thought today we would dedicate today's show up to community violence. And how do you think, in your mind's eye, how do you think a security guard should handle a potentially violent event? Because any event could become violent.
That's a tough one.
Especially for those people who like working in clubs. It used to be a time you could throw people out and they just left.
Come back the next week apologizing.
Right. Today they come back with, full metal jackets, right?
Right.
So, what's your thought?
Friends.
What's your thought?
That's such a I mean, it all depends on the situation.
Mm.
If you could give me a situation, I could give you a way to possibly react to it.
Okay.
Because
So let's think about schools. You're in schools,
yeah,
and a lot of the violence that we've seen perpetrated has been perpetrated by young people. So here you are, you're at a school, and you have a situation where, you know, little JoJo, because everybody is little something now, right? Little Pookie, little JoJo, little mama baby, right? So everybody little something. So little JoJo decide, you know, he didn't like the way the fight ended. So little JoJo has made a threat. I'm coming back, and when I come back, I'm laying everybody down. Where do you go? What do you do? Little JoJo ran out the building.
well, in a situation like that, you lock all. You have what's called a lockdown. So all the doors are locked, nobody in, nobody out, and you call the authorities. Try to get eyes on each exit in case he's got friends that want to try and let him back in the building, you know, and just hope for the best.
Yeah, you know, so not even just, okay, let's move away from schools. Here you are working an event. Now, we've seen, you know, I don't like to use the word mass shootings, but they are mass. I think any event where 3 or 4 more people have been shot or injured, then it's a mass event. So we've seen those types of events. So let's say right here in Rochester, New York, we had a situation that made national news again, right? You're working security at the Walmart, and people decide to gather in that parking lot like they did on this past Sunday to have their car show off their motorcycles, do donuts and peel outs and all this other stuff. I mean, how are you going to address those people coming into that parking lot? And most times it ain't nobody there but you.
Well, I would try to see if there was somebody that seemed like they were the organizer or in control of what's going on, you know, and ask them politely to leave the property before I have to call the police.
So, you know, I guess one of the things we're trying to impart to folks is don't put yourself in a position where you're in the challenge position. So I always talk about the challenge position, right? That's that position where, you know, you either do it or else, right? Because once you do that, you know,
sometimes or
else, right? So we don't necessarily want to deal with or else. We're not prepared to deal with or else. So we have to kind of walk through, what's the old saying, tiptoe through the tulips,
yeah.
Right? So if you're working security, this is just a suggestion, right? You know, based on our experience. So if you're working security and you're in a situation where there's a large gathering of people who probably shouldn't be on the property from the get-go, then you do want to approach that very carefully. Sometimes you may not want to approach them directly. You might want to approach them through a third party, such as your local law enforcement, right? Especially for those of you who are working unarmed security. You definitely want to walk carefully, because you don't want to find yourself in a position where, you know, your back is up against the wall and you have no backup, really. You know, I tried to think about what I would have done had I been working at the Walmart on Sunday. So for those of you who are not familiar with what happened, a large group of people gathered in the Walmart parking lot. And it was on Hudson Avenue, and so
I don't even know why I asked.
They do this on a regular basis, right? And on Sunday nights, it's always someplace, right? Sometimes 2 or 3 different places, because at one time they were down on Mount Reed Boulevard in like a warehouse parking lot, and then they moved down to Mount Reed and Lyle Avenue in that plaza, and then they moved now, I guess, to Walmart, I'm assuming, But at one time, they used to be at the Tim Hortons over on, and did I mention Tim Hortons? They're not paying us. But anyway, they used to be at the coffee shop on Lake Avenue and Ridge. And these people, don't forget the track. They're at the track on West Ridge Road. So they gather in all these different places. And for the most part, I would say they're peaceful. I mean, when it comes to violence,
they're rowdy.
They're rowdy in that.
But
they're
looking to.
Yeah, nobody's normally looking to do bodily harm to anybody else, right? Oh, before that, remember they were at the old Bathtub Billy's in that parking lot, and that kind of that they turned that out. So but they gather in these different places, and as of late, these incidents of violence have been breaking out, And the truth of the matter is, one of the things we need to recognize, and the sheriff said this on last week, and I feel comfortable saying it here, we have a gang problem in this city. So now you're inviting other folks to this party who probably wouldn't normally be there, right? Now they're there, and they run into somebody they have a problem with. And here's the weird thing. I can't even call it funny. Some of the people they have beef with are their neighbors, right? Because I'm told on one street on the west side, there's like a number of gangs on that one strip, right? And so in some cases, they run into their neighbors who they're having a problem with for one reason or another, right? I'm not going to try to speculate what it is, female or male, or whether it's got something to do with territory, drugs, or whatever the case. But they fall out, and then they get into some sort of incident. And instead of just, walking up to somebody and knocking them out, they pull out a gun. And then they want to shoot a bunch of people indiscriminately. And so this is sort of what we had on Sunday. If everything that I've heard, if all the reporting has been accurate, it was like 50 shots fired on a Sunday night at 1 o'clock in the morning, right? And so all these different things are happening, and I'm sorry, folks are inboxing me, but all these different things are happening here in our city, and I just don't know how we respond to it. And I know from a security standpoint, I'm not, I would love to say, hire more security, hire more cops, right? But I know money is kind of tight. And quite frankly, there's some stuff I just don't want to get into, right? I don't want to have to worry about, am I going to make it home tonight because I told somebody they couldn't be in a parking lot? I mean, it's a thought.
It's the truth.
It's, So, I mean, Pitt, you've been in this for a while. I mean, what's your thoughts?
I think, to help bring the violence down, it has to be a community response, not just a police response, but community response. You just have to be really careful about who you run into, and then who you run into, or who you address. Like you said, those gatherings like that, most people aren't looking for the kind of trouble that could bring, but maybe if they put these gatherings together, and as soon as people start showing up that are probably going to be an issue, then you should disperse. It doesn't make your assembly look bad.
Right. I would agree. I would agree. When you start seeing people showing up to your gathering but then again, I mean, because these things are like citywide, man. So people show up, nobody's there policing them. Nobody's saying, well, you shouldn't be here. Because imagine if, we've been in this business a long time. But imagine if Johnny walks up to Joe and said, Joe, you can't be here because you're a troublemaker. I mean, is that safe for Johnny?
No, Johnny shouldn't do that. Johnny should be like, okay, done. It's over with.
Right.
It's over with. You guys going about your business. Or, if it's your event, still go back and call the police.
And
The police getting there before something happens ends up being much better than the police getting there after something happens.
Exactly. And so I would have to imagine that some of these folks are, they're reluctant to call the police, for one, because of the no snitching rule, right? And then, I know the feeling, all right? But, so you got folks who are probably reluctant to call the police because of no snitching. And then, not only that, they know these are illegal gatherings. So if we call the police to get rid of the troublemaker, they're just gonna come in and shut the whole thing down.
Again, it's better before than after.
I agree. So for those of you who are watching, if you know somebody who organizes these types of events, you might want to share with them this information that we're sharing, because we don't need to see anybody else get hurt. I mean, over stupidity.
It's too much. Too much.
I mean, so you got folks dying because maybe they were involved in something, but then you got other folks who are dying because they were in the wrong place at the wrong time, and so
a little bit of fun,
trying to have a little bit of fun, So I'm really feeling some kind of way about a lot of what's happening in our city in particular. And like I said, we know that this is something that is happening nationwide, but for a small country town like Rochester, it's big, and so we want to work to limit the violence, and I know that there's a lot of anti-violence groups out there. They're marching and they're bringing attention to the issue. But I think I'm going to refer some of these folks to these specific events. So I'm just going to give you the information. On a Sunday night, you're going to have a group of people somewhere either on Mount Reed and Lyle, or in the Walmart parking lot. They just show up. So you instead of marching around trying to get the message out to people who feel probably pretty much the same way you do, preaching to the choir, so to speak, maybe you should go directly to those spots where people gather. What you got that look on me? What's up?
That kind of could turn into a confrontation, unintentionally.
It could.
What are y'all here for?
Right.
We don't need you.
You're right. It could, but I think if folks,
you gotta have a good speaker.
Folk gotta know how to be non-confrontational. So like when you're doing street ministry, you can't walk up to folks and be like, "You need to be saved," because guess what they're gonna do? You need to get on about your business, right? But if these folks are serious about the work, and I believe they are, I'm not trying to castigate anybody. But if they're serious about the work, then they will go into these situations having some understanding of the people that they're dealing with, so that they will have an understanding of how to present that message in a way that it could be received. Hey, listen, we know you guys are out here trying to have some fun. We just want you to be safe while you're doing it. It's probably is the best place to do what you're doing, but since you're here, just be safe. Hey, if you see any issues, see any problems, make this phone call. If two people get into an argument, don't stand there and film it. Go ahead and notify 911 so that we can end the situation before somebody dies or somebody is seriously injured. That type of message. Because if you go out, and again, if you go out and you try to make people do something, they're going to do what people normally do, which is become rebellious, and they're going to do the opposite of what you're trying to get them to do. So just go out there, think of it like when folks used to do AIDS and HIV ministry, they would go out and they would talk to people about AIDS and HIV. You need to stop having unprotected sex, and but they provided information and knowledge to people, and a lot of times they created relationships, they created those bridges. So this brings us back to security. So when I think about security, you know, when we're teaching classes, I'm always talking about communication that builds bridges instead of those that tear bridges down. And so you have a lot of folks that walk in with 6 packs of dynamite and C4, and they just blow it up, you know, and whatever they were trying to communicate, the message is lost, you know. So we want to get folks to begin communicating with the community, because I think the community has become numb to people who talk at them versus people who speak to them. And in our role as security, we have to learn how to speak to people, because we have a lot of us who think because we got security on our shirt or whatever, then we're the end all, the be all, and then you go out there and get your rump whooped. You know what I'm saying? If you're lucky, that's what, you know. And so we really want to see people be successful. And since I'm on that vein, I gotta say, Enterprise Security Consulting and Training Incorporated is a New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services security guard training school. We do provide training for security guards, not only the state mandated courses, but in other stuff like what we're talking about today. We also provide investigations, we provide security services, and Pitt, will you tell these people that we're hiring?
We are hiring.
We are hiring.
And, we also teach CPR.
We teach CPR, first aid, EED. We teach a lot of different stuff. So you want to come check us out. Make sure you check out our website at www.esctroc.com. And we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
At Enterprise Security Consulting and Training, we are doing our part to help you stay safe during this global pandemic caused by the coronavirus. We are now offering virtual security guard training, which will allow you to take our classes from the comfort of your own home. For more information about any of our security guard training classes, go to our website at www.esctroc.com or call us at 585-484-7745. Enterprise Security Consulting and Training.
All right, welcome back to the show. So make sure you click like and subscribe to this video on YouTube, on Facebook. Follow us on Facebook at ESCTROC, or on Instagram, Enterprise Security, on Twitter, ESCTROC. I mean, you can find us. Just look, just search Security Guard Show, search Enterprise Security Consulting and Training. And so what we've been talking about is the level of violence that we have seen in the community and ways of avoiding it, right? So sometimes our show ain't just all geared to security guard. This is stuff that any individual could use.
Right.
We've also seen carjackings. That's a form of violence.
Yeah.
Somebody we saw the news earlier. Somebody was attempted carjacking out in Pittsburgh,
right.
And then when they failed to jack that person, they actually went and snatched somebody out of another car at the light and took off. You know, so listen, be very safe. Make sure that you keep your doors locked, right? If you don't have AC, right, just roll your windows up while you're at a stoplight and lock your door, okay? You know what? Listen.
Or keep your head on a swivel.
Keep your head on a swivel.
I think a lot of times people just become
comfortable, complacent,
blind to the things that are going on around them.
Yep.
And dangers that happen, or situations that could prove to be dangerous. Sometimes they're not, you know, but then sometimes they are. You know, like I was at an ATM on my motorcycle. With my girl on the back, and I pulled up, and there was a car. There was one guy outside of the car, the other guy was at the ATM. So I go to the ATM, I put my card in, and I'm looking in the mirror, and I see one of the guys look, and then he says something to somebody else in the car. So you know, I'm got the motor running, watch it in the mirror. So the other one peeks out of the car, they get out of the car, and they start to walk towards me. So I pulled the card out, and I was out, but I was paying attention to my surroundings.
Right.
Because, you know, 4 guys in the car, 1 guy out of a car at the other side of an ATM, that's could prove.
Yeah, there could be a problem with that. And so, like you said, you were aware of what was happening. So, we're trying to tell people, be aware of your surroundings, know what's happening, know where you are, right? Always know where your exit is. So if you're in a parking lot, maybe your exit isn't the same way you came in, right? Because people watch. And if you look like a target, they will watch you a long time to try to figure out what you're going to do. So maybe you want
the best way to get at you.
It's the best, yeah. Figure out how to get at you. So you want to make sure you're not so stuck in your routine, right? Excuse me. Some of us, we have our way of, we go home the same way every day. Not me, right? I've just been in this business so long that I'm so used to, switching it up. So yeah, you follow me if you want to, and be careful if you catch me. I'm just saying, right? But a lot of folks, they do become complacent in that, it won't happen to me, or I doubt it'll happen. Listen, it can happen to you. You could be jacked, you could be robbed at gunpoint. I mean, your house can be burglarized, and so we just had an incident at my job about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Right? And one of our staff members walked out of her office and wasn't necessarily thinking, usually pretty conscious to shut the door. The door was closed, and an individual coming to do business at our location decided to go into the office and rifle through drawers because the staff member's purse was in a drawer. So this person decided to rifle through the drawers and walked out with the purse, went to the bathroom, dumped the contents of the purse probably into their bag.
This is one of the things I'm saying about being aware, because of the type of business that is. Maybe she saw a purse sitting there in one of her visits to the place.
Very well.
That it might be there.
Could be, because it was interesting. The person went to that door.
That's specific.
My door is directly next to it. They didn't try my door.
Yeah, see, they had to.
You got a point.
They had to have known.
You got a point. So you have to understand, people walk into your place of business, they walk into your house, and they're casing it while, you're thinking that it's just a simple, visit, and folks are looking. I know if I come to your house, I'm looking around. I want to know which way to get out of here, especially when I come to your house, because you got dogs. So
my dogs are friendly.
Friendly to you?
Just
they bark at me.
They bark at you just to say, hey.
Well, I said hey back.
Spot.
I said hey one day, and they barked at me. I thought I was gonna get bit. No. So I'm very careful when I go to Pitt's house. I make sure that I know my exit, right? Because his dogs,
they're sizable, but they're lovable.
Okay. But anyway, so know your surroundings. Know what you're getting yourself into. If you are working security at a site, don't get complacent in the way you do your rounds. You should never be going the same way every time, right?
No.
You need to hit all your locations, but make sure you're randomly hitting that up. Because I'm telling you, people are watching.
And regular people, don't leave your purse in the car. You put it in the trunk. Don't leave any money in the glove box, glove box, but in the center tray, or change in the center tray where people can see it.
Yep.
You're
inviting. You're like, hey, I got money in here. Come on.
Might as well be neon.
Well, I'm gonna tell you something else that kind of bugs me. People who, especially women, right? They get out of the car and they put their purse in the trunk. Think about that. So if I'm watching, I know where your purse is now. And I get that they don't want to carry their purse into whatever the venue is.
I never thought about that. That's
but you're getting out of the car, you're putting your purse in the trunk. Now, today's cars are not like cars of yesterday. If I want to get into your trunk, all I gotta do is get into your car, because there's a button that allows me to get into your trunk. And if I know that the trunk is holding the goods, it must be holding the goods because you have made sure you put it in the trunk.
I mean, not just that, but I'll just wait for you to come. I wouldn't, but I'm just saying if I was a criminal.
You heard him.
I just wait.
Y'all heard him. He said he would.
I would just wait for you to come back, and then when you go inside your trunk to get your purse, it's a strong arm robbery.
Exactly.
Hit you over your head, take your purse, and go on with it.
Because I know you got to come back to your car.
Right.
So, like you said, I can wait patiently. I've been waiting all this long time for somebody to show up, you know. So these are just some tidbits. And to tell you the truth, if you own a business, we have a lot more tidbits that you could hire us and we could show you some things about your business and how to make it more safe for you, your customers, and your staff.
That's an old saying. I can show you better than I can
show you better than I can tell you. You know, and I think, you know, our next show is going to be dedicated to, I don't know if we talked about this before. You tell me about security being cut first when people got to start looking at the budgets.
No, that's
So that's going to be our next topic, because I think it's something that we really need to hit on. So before we get ready to close out, because the time runs very fast in what we do here, I want to take a moment to remind people that we are going to hold a drawing this, I believe we're going to do it this month. Is it next Tuesday?
Yeah.
Okay. So in order, this is what we're going to do.
It was after the 4th, remember?
After the 4th. Yeah. So we'll see what things are looking like next Tuesday. But here's what you have to do. You need to be able to tell us why we are called Enterprise Security Consulting and Training. And that was your hint.
And he's not going to give you a hint.
I'm not going to give you any more than what I just said.
Go back through.
You got to go back through a couple videos and, of the Security Guard of our podcast, the Security Guard Show, # Security Guard Show, and find out why we're called Enterprise Security Consulting and Training. Listen to me very careful in how I say what I'm about to say. Enterprise Security Consulting and Training Incorporated. So if you can tell us why our name is what it is, we're going to pay for your training.
From the rooted to the tutor.
From the rooted to the tutor. We're going to pay for your 8-hour pre-assignment training. We're going to pay for your 16-hour on-the-job training course. We're going to pay for your fingerprints. We're going to pay for your registration fee and get you all certified and ready to work. And we're going to try to get you a job. Okay? So if you're not a registered, New York State registered security guard, you will definitely want to jump in on this. If you know someone who is looking to become a New York State registered security guard, you want to put them onto this podcast, because they need to hear what we're saying, and they need to go back a couple of podcasts ago to find out. And I can tell you, last week's podcast I said it, and the week before podcast I said it. 2 weeks before I said it. So go back, listen to the whole thing, and then all you got to do is, when we tell you to go, all you got to do is go to our inbox or my inbox or email and tell me why our name is what it is. Enterprise Security Consulting and Training Incorporated. Last words?
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. Listen, we had a few viewers tonight, live viewers. People do actually go back and watch the recorded version. But we thank you. It doesn't look like we had any comments. I was checking the feed.
I hope people get something from it.
You know, yeah, let us know. Let us know if this is informative to you. We're not, listen, if it's not informative, we're not just going to waste our time doing this every Tuesday. But let us know. So make sure you like, subscribe. Make sure you put some comments in there. If what we're saying is valuable information to you, let us know. And if you have a topic, security guard topic that you think you want us to cover, we'll do our best to do that.
Or a question.
Or a question.
Sometime before next week.
Yeah,
just get it to us. We'll be happy to answer the question.
And you can inbox me. You can inbox Pitt at Pitticus on Facebook. I'm Owen Shepherd on Facebook. Or you can inbox our business page, which is Enterprise Security Consulting and Training. Victor Zayas is watching us. Thank you, Vic. And you can inbox there, or you can email us at admin@esctroc.com. Again, admin@esctroc.com. And you can ask your question. We'll do our best to give you the best answer we can possibly give. And if it's something outside of our purview, we'll go get the information. So keep watching and be blessed
and be safe.
Take care. God bless you.